Hello, 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 and welcome back to what is Group C of the FIFA World Cup 2026, a global showdown from the Hooligan Soccer Boys with myself, Gary Stryker, and as always, the Hooligan. Hooligan, are you ready to get into Group C after we've successfully hacked through Group A and Group B?
Hack is an appropriate word, Gary. That's for sure.
Takes one to know one,
let's
right?
get into C. C's a good one.
C is a good one indeed. But before we get going, of course, as always, in the run-up to the World Cup, as we sort of go on, take you on this journey, hooligan-soccer.com is the place to be, where we get all the musings, the insights, and the wonderful perspectives as well from ex-players, creators, fans, journalists, and all those wonderful sort of things. So come and check us out. And also, as always, please like.
Everybody's got an opinion except for Gary, who doesn't like to read.
They do. Well, this is true. This is true. Yes. Please also as well, like, follow, subscribe, share it with your friends as well as we go through this journey, break down the groups and obviously all of the other interesting happenings going on. Stay with us. We will be once the tournament starts as well, we will be doing a daily breakdown of all the matches as well. So lots of fun and games going on. Okay, Hooligan, Group C. This is an interesting group. We have Brazil, Morocco, Scotland, and Haiti. Which teams do you want to start with, or which team should we start with?
I mean, courtesy would dictate you start with Brazil, since they're one of the most successful countries in the history of the competition. And it just doesn't seem like a World Cup without Brazil. They've made every one. They don't always win them all, thank God. And the big question is whether they will win it this year. I don't think they're going all the way this year. But will they get out of this group? Yeah. And if they don't, wow, what'll that do? I mean,
indeed.
Carlo Ancelotti has had a great time in Brazil. Left Real Madrid, all that pressure, goes to Brazil, hanging out at Carnival, drinking beer, smoking cigars, all this stuff. If he does not get Brazil to operate at a high level, he will end up in a shallow grave somewhere in the center of the country, because they do not.
He will be buried deep inside of the rainforest just outside of Manaus, I imagine, because yes, it's Carlo Ancelotti, the manager, one of the most successful club managers in history, has taken a pretty good role here managing the Brazilian national team and going into a World Cup. So, and I believe he just signed I think I saw a report that he just signed a new sort of contract as well, and he's on pretty decent money on a yearly basis as well. So yeah.
Well, I'm sure he's getting very well compensated, right? Yeah. Very well compensated, but the job itself, I think, was fairly cush and enjoyable, but now this is real. Now he's got to deliver. And so, and it's not necessarily, you can sit there and think to yourself, gee, how hard can it be to manage Brazil? I actually think it's extraordinarily challenging. You're talking about a pool of players that's measured in the hundreds that he could pick from. So he's really got to think not just about, who's hot right now, but who's going to work well together. I mean, there's a lot of personality clashes and conflicts. And if Brazil has shown us anything, it's that if you try to be a true individual, Brazil loves the flashy play. They love the dribble. They love the all
Samba
that stuff.
Boys.
All that is, yes, it's part of their game. But so is unselfish action to win, right? And I think that's they're a wonderful example of how of the way the game can be both individually excellent and yet still a team sport, right? And without those two sort of joining beautifully, and that's what Brazil's skill always was. They would have these incredible players that would do these amazing things, but at the same time, as a team, they were always committed, 100% driven. I have concerns about the Brazil side, right? The first of which is their defense. They're some old mothers on that. I mean, come on, their center back's average age is 30.5. Then you might go, ooh, it's experience. Sure, it's also not fast, right? So all the experience in the world is great until you meet somebody who can run faster than you, but also knows how to pass. And so I think that's a big warning for me for Brazil is that defensive line. And listen, I'm not saying they're not going to get out of the group phase. They will. They'll get out of this group phase. It won't. But their opening game is their toughest.
Yeah.
They go straight up to Morocco, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is it. I mean, this is a clash. This is a big clash. If you can get to this game, go watch this game because this is a semifinal, right? This is a later round stage early on.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
We'll have to wait and see. That's the game I think that sort of will decide a lot for both teams, but I think more for Brazil.
Yeah. And of course, Brazil, as you mentioned, are 5-time world champions. The last time they did win it was 2002. And interestingly, this is their longest ever drought without winning a World Cup, which is interesting.
That's a good point. I knew it was long, but I didn't know.
Yeah, this is their longest title without sort of going for it, which is obviously shocking. I agree with you. While they're historically, when they have won it or they've come close and they've got to finals and haven't won it, their team has been, what we've been classified as golden generations, or they've often had the best player in the world in their team and a good number of sort of, other players around them supporting them. This sort of group, there's good players. I'm not saying there are not bad players, but I just don't think there are any mega superstars and there are better equipped teams. I agree with you as well. Morocco, who of course they reached the semifinals of the last World Cup in Qatar in 2022, which, outperformed the expectations, did very, very well. And you could argue that Morocco are actually going through a sort of a golden generation phase. We'll break down some of the players that they have further on, but they are very, very strong. And of course, the current African champions, they won that final in very dramatic fashion.
They didn't win it.
You're following.
Let us be very clear. They did not win that final. They were given the final after they lost based on a technicality.
It is a bizarre one, and it is bizarre. It is, but you are not incorrect with what you say.
They are champions. I will not contest that, but do not say that they won because they did not.
That's correct. The African champions, who it's a bizarre one. So we won't get into unpack it too much as well. But Morocco are definitely, as I say, last tournament semi-finalist, and they've probably advanced and developed and sort of gone from there. So I would definitely sort of have Morocco as a strong favorite to get out of this group. And then, of course, that leaves the other two countries, which is Scotland. And Scotland, the last time they were in a World Cup was in 1998, a tournament that Brazil got to the final of. And incidentally, also was Brazil and Scotland's opening game in the 98 World Cup. So this will be the second time that they meet in 28 years, or the first time they meet in 28 years, should I say.
Yeah. And I'm not to interrupt you, but poor Scotland, they got screwed in that draw because they weren't supposed to be in this group. Their initial draw was Group E. And because of the FIFA rules about not allowing teams from the same confederation, right, outside of or maybe they were supposed to be in group, but they weren't supposed to be in this group, and they ended up moving down the line. And so by the time their draw came in, they were like, oh, great, yeah. So they I mean, then again, I mean, Scotland is never favored at any of these global tournaments. It's not not really something that they do it. They love their global tournaments and their fans turn out. The Tartan Army shows up.
Yes.
And I would also recommend that if you get a chance, go to a Scotland game because they are amazing. They're amazing fans. Definitely worth, and go early and find where they're hanging out and party with them and then hang out afterwards. Because even if they lose, they're still going to party hard. So
that is, out of all of the games in the group stages that are looking out as well, the one that has jumped out at me is Brazil-Scotland in Miami. Well, technically it's Fort Lauderdale, but that is a game I am going to want to be at because, as you say, get there early, enjoy both the Brazilians and the Scots. That will be one hell of a party. And then, of course, going through to the fourth country as well, which is Haiti. They are interestingly making their third World Cup appearance, and their last time was in 1974. So it's been quite some time. And Haiti, in spite of, sort of horrible sort of disasters, both geographically and politically as well. They have made it, which they'll be representing obviously the Caribbean, representing the Caribbean sort of Caribbean region as well, and obviously the people of Haiti as well. So
I mean, this is one of the great things about this particular World Cup, and I don't have a lot of nice things to say about it, but one of the positives was the fact that it opened up slots for other CONCACAF teams outside of Mexico, the United States, Canada, who traditionally are the ones that make it in during the normal qualifying. Because they were automatic qualifiers, there were additional ones that were able to come through, and Haiti was one of those, and a surprise one, I think, for most people. I don't think there are many people, yourself included, even myself, that could name any Haitian player just off the top of their head without doing advanced research.
Yeah,
right? This is not a country that produces footballers that go global. So, also, this is an unfortunate draw for them, but I don't think there was going to be any group where they were going to have anything other than underdog status.
Yeah,
this is a true underdog team, right?
I agree.
Both in the sense that all of the players that play for this country, I don't believe any of them actually live in the country of Haiti. They can't. Haiti, to my understanding, might not even have an active league right now just because of all the turmoil that's going on. So they're all essentially expats, refugees, if you will, who come together to try and do their best in this scenario. So I mean, I wish them luck. I want them to compete. That's because that's all you ask for Haiti.
Exactly.
Make the games interesting. All right.
I agree. Yeah.
Go out there, leave it all on the pitch, and hopefully you don't get completely thumped. Right. Scare a team a little bit. Right. Scare them. Well, why not?
Yeah. Exactly. No, I mean, look, I think just looking at it, you'd expect the two dominant teams are Brazil and Morocco here, and you'd expect them to go
100%.
through. And if one of those teams do not qualify, it will be a national disaster. It really will at a national scale. But looking at this, if we can then sort of move forward and then look at some of the players. So let's start with Haiti as well. I'm just looking through the player list. I'm just trying to sort of understand if there's any players on here that maybe jump out at us. I mean, just looking through sort of the roster as well, I think, it looks like the highest level player that they have is a striker by the name of Wilson Isidore, who plays for Sunderland in the Premier League. There's Fafa Picault, is that how you say it? He plays for Atlanta.
Fafa?
Again, Fafa, he's a bit on the older side as well, so he's at 35 years of age.
He's been around for a long time. But here's the thing: he wasn't called up in the last. He's not currently on the roster, just so you know.
Yeah.
He has been called up in the past. It is doubtful that he will get called up for. I mean, he might, just because he's a bit of an established player. He did play for Inter Miami last season. He was released by them. I'm not sure where he's playing right now. No, the one player who is their best is a guy named Wubens Pacius. He plays for Nashville SC right now. He was in the USL Championship last season. He played for Tampa Bay, and he is the real deal. He's 24 years old, big, strong on the ball, great pace, excellent shot. He is their main guy up front, right? All the other players, most of these Haitians play inside the United States, and a lot of them on the USL Championship level, where they do pretty well. So like Delance Pierre, Carl Sante plays for El Paso. There's a couple of players who play for Colorado Springs. So yeah, it's a team of unknowns, and I kind of like it. I think I think they're going to be fun to watch. They tend to play a very scrappy, physical, fast counterattacking game. But I don't think it's going to succeed. It's certainly not going to succeed against Brazil and not Morocco. Scotland might have a problem with them, but I don't think they will. Here's the thing: Scotland opens with them. That is the biggest game in the world for Scotland.
If they can win, well, that's the thing.
It's a must. They have to, and they've got to put up a lot of goals. if they don't put up a lot of goals, they run the risk of then watering down any draws that they may. So let's say Scotland beats Haiti, okay? Then maybe they get lucky and they draw Morocco, maybe even draw Brazil. That's fine. They need the one win. That's guaranteed. You got to go through. You need the one win. They need to have high goals.
Yeah.
Right? They need to have a lot of goals because it's going to come down to goal difference. Because if they can get the 4 points, maybe they finish third with a high goal differential, they might be able to sneak in through some of the third place openings, right? So
that's true. Yeah.
Got to be Scotland's game plan. They got to go out hard, score a lot of goals, kind of step on Haiti a little bit.
And in terms of players to look out for on the Scotland team, I mean, I think obviously the star player for Scotland is Scott McTominay, who has been, I think he's been MVP of the Italian league. I think it's 2 seasons in a row, plays for Napoli, former Manchester United player. So I think he's the one to watch out for if you're building a fantasy team or looking for someone to get on the score sheet. Definitely Scott McTominay from the Scotland side is one to look out for.
And Scotland's got lots of people in that midfield area. It's not just McTominay. You've got Ryan Christie, right? Comes out of Bournemouth. He's never quite lived up to the potential that everybody said he had. In fact, that's funny. It's a common theme amongst most of these Scottish players is that they all, when they were very young, were like heralded as the next big thing and yet somehow never quite lived up to it. We're talking about Lewis Ferguson. We're talking about Billy Gilmore, right? Both, I mean, not bad players. Please don't get me wrong. They're great players, but they've never quite stepped in. They tend to get shuffled around clubs here or there. I mean, Gilmore's playing in Napoli right now. Lewis Ferguson's in Bologna. I think those guys are great. Of course, John McGinn, 31 years old, not a young player, but the absolute heart and soul of the Scottish team. That guy is, I mean, he bleeds tartan, hardcore, right? And that's kind of, there are very few young players on the Scottish team. Right. Let's be honest. Billy Gilmore's probably the youngest that will get any regular time.
There is a guy named or something like that. Yeah,
and he's 24. There is an interesting player named Finlay Curtis. Got his first call up during the international window. He's out of Kilmarnock, 19 years old. I think he's a bit of an up and comer. If he gets called in and he gets playing time, he might seize that opportunity to make a name for himself.
Yeah. Okay. And then moving on to the sort of more 2 dominant teams, obviously, let's start with Morocco. I think in terms of players to look out for, again, for any sort of fantasy or sort of, betting purposes or sort of whatever it is, definitely Achraf Hakimi, their right back, their sort of attacking right back. He is phenomenal, incredibly quick, incredibly skillful, lethal, both going forward and defending. I think, of course, they have Brahim Diaz, who missed the penalty in the African Cup of Nations final with a ridiculous Panenka. I think he's probably learned. He's learned.
Let me tell you that. If Morocco gets a pen, he will get the ball.
He's smashing the ball in. Yeah,
no, he will because they're going to have to put that to bed, right?
Yeah.
You can't have him doubting anything, especially if we start going into the knockout phases where you need people to be able to hit these things ruthlessly. He will be if he is on the pitch, he will get the pen. I guarantee it.
And so, he plays for Real Madrid. So obviously sort of playing at a very, very high level. And then if you look around their sort of roster as well, all sort of good players playing in sort of high level leagues as well. So, but those would definitely be, I think, the 2 standout players. Also, just as a good shout out as well, we called this in the last summer's Club World Cup, Bono, who plays for Al Hilal. He's their goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He was, he obviously got a lot because he did quite well. I remember he saved some penalties, which was interesting. So some definitely some interesting players to
he'll be there. I mean, it's all, listen, it's a good, this is a good squad. And I think, again, most people would, outside of Hakimi, maybe Diaz, only for the wrong reasons. There's not a lot of people who'd be able to go, oh yeah, I can name like 6 or 7, Moroccan players. They can't. Morocco as a country, though, I mean, they're football mad. Their youth team is extremely good, right? Knocked out the United States in the U17 World Cup. So they've got not just a good crew now, they've got a good crew coming in. And I think one of the best things about Morocco is the fact that they're so unified. They are just an absolute, when it comes to their discipline, their play, very unselfish, very, very, direct, and physical, challenging, not afraid to get in and mess with you. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch them.
Yeah, no, Morocco will definitely go deep into this competition. I think the only real question is do they qualify first or do they qualify second? And obviously sort of
that is very true.
As you say, that opening game, and then it determines who they play. Okay, and then of course moving on to the Brazilian team, or as they're affectionately known, the Seleção, as they like to say in Portuguese. I mean, in terms of star players to look out for, of course, everyone knows Vinicius Jr., who plays for Real Madrid. He will be the sort of the tip of their spear, but they do have a very, very, as you mentioned before, Hooligan, a strong roster of players to pick from. Of course, we're looking through. There's Endrick, who is a Real Madrid player, but he's on loan to Lyon and he seems to be doing quite well. Chelsea have a striker, João Pedro, who's getting form. Manchester United have Mateus Cunha, Martinelli at Arsenal, Richarlison at Tottenham, and then it's again there's no shortage of sort of strikers and attackers as well in the Brazilian.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest problem for Ancelotti is that he has to select somebody. There's more attackers and attacking midfielders than he can put on the squad.
Yeah.
That's, I think, his biggest problem.
Yeah.
And again, look at that back line. They are old as hell.
Yeah.
I think that's a potential problem going into like I've said, it's a potential problem going in. There's the youngest person who's a dedicated defender. Well, is a guy named Vitor Reis, who plays for Girona at 20.
Yeah.
But he's not like a main starter.
He's not.
And then the rest of them are all like in their 30s or late 20s.
I mean, you'd expect Marquinhos, the Paris PSG central defender, to probably be the captain and be obviously sort of the anchor of that defensive. He's 31 years old and fantastic. Yeah. Arsenal have Gabriel Magalhaes. Is that how I pronounce it as well? Has he featured much for Arsenal at 20 years of age? I don't think he's been a strong starter as well.
No, and he did not get rostered for any of their friendlies. So there's big names.
Yeah,
there are big names in Brazil, like you mentioned. Richarlison.
Yeah. He may not even get on the squad. He may not get in the plane.
Martinelli got a call up, but he might not make the World Cup squad.
That's true.
Igor Thiago got a call up. He might not make the World Cup squad despite scoring 18 goals in the Premier League. It's like, I don't know exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to figure it out. That is a thankless task that Ancelotti has. Yes, you're absolutely right. Vinicius Jr. will be there. Undoubtedly. There's rumors that Neymar might be there. He won't. He's not match fit. Neymar would be a distraction. You can't.
Yeah, I agree.
He wouldn't do that.
I agree. I don't think Neymar even gets on this squad. That's also how competitive it is and is good. Form has not been great. He's not playing at a higher level. His injuries, he's not looking great
at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he's a non-factor.
Yeah.
No. You don't waste a roster spot on him for emotion. You got to take emotion out of this, right?
Yeah,
same thing. I feel like Casemiro. If Casemiro wasn't having such a good season with United, and he is, if this was like the last 2 years, I'd have said Casemiro's done. But he's kind of had a resurgence. Maybe he makes it. He's 34. This would be his last dance, so he might make it there. But
there is. And then there is one young player, of course, I would be remiss, and I know you'll obviously know who I'm going to start speaking about. There is a young Brazilian player by the name of Estevão who plays for Chelsea, 18 years of age. Well, he's been injured and he's coming back. So again, it depends when the rosters get announced. He started playing again. So I think if he's fit and he sort of shows a bit of form, I think they'll take him for experience in future generations.
I'm not sure Ancelotti cannot put him on the roster. I think that the public sentiment is too strong for him. So he would, if he was fit, he'd have to do it. I would imagine that Ancelotti, in his deep heart, in his soul, might be saying, I hope he stays injured, because it would be easier to pick a selection without him.
It makes a decision making easier for him as well. And again, champagne problems if you're Carlo Ancelotti, right?
Tell me about it, right? Please.
Yeah.
No joke.
Wonderful. Looking at this, Hooligan, so I think we're both in agreement. We think Morocco and Brazil both qualify here.
I think, I think Scotland has to play for a strong third. They've got to play for a 4-point third.
Who do you think wins this group? Do you think Morocco or Brazil win this group?
I think whoever wins the first game wins the group. I can't tell you who that's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's first game jitter. It's first game and it's jittery. You never know what's going to happen. I'm not making a call, but I will say that whoever wins that game will win the group.
Well, glad you stuck your neck out there for that one. Thank you. Wonderful.
Just facts. Just facts.
Well, that brings us to the end of Group C. So obviously we will continue on. Thank you as always. And listen out for Group D and on we go. Thank you.
Peace.